Welcome to the next row. Yeah. Welcome to the next row. From the field on my way to the next row. Welcome to the next row.
Welcome back to Next Row. I have an exciting guest. I'm Vernon Davis, your host. You guys know when you're listening to my podcast, I'm going to have somebody super exciting. You can't come on the show if you're not exciting. I have a guest, and this guy has done it all. He's amazing. He is someone I had an opportunity to sit down with and work with. He's the founder, CEO of R3 Stem Cell. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. David Greene.
Thank you so much, Vernon, for having me. This is exciting.
You deserve a round of applause. You really do. And look, let me tell everyone real quick, follow or subscribe on your favorite platform. Please follow or subscribe on your favorite platform. Doc, what's new, man? How you doing?
You know, I'm doing awesome. I've been traveling a lot, kind of getting more clinics going around the world. Thankfully, I'm back now and got over the jet lag. That always kills me. But yeah, everything's great.
That's amazing. Doc, when I look at you, you know, when I was thinking about, hey, who else can I have on this show? And I thought about you, and I was like, everything that you've been able to do, from going from being a spine surgeon to building a global stem cell company, right? What inspired you to go from the operating room to the boardroom?
Yeah. Well, you know, when I look at the rest of my family, nobody's in the doctor business. They're all in business. And, you know, whether it's Harvard consultant or, you know, textile manufacturing globally, you know, I was the first one to actually become a physician. And as the years went by, being a physician, I really got disenfranchised with, you know, the grind and dealing with medical board, insurance companies. So one day my dad sat me down. He said, look, you're not eating, you're not sleeping. The stress is killing you. He said, there's a lot of ways out there, you know, to help people and make a good living at the same time. So have you thought about that, you know, shifting gear? And that was the conversation that really had me shift gears. You know, I left practice, owned a pain clinic and a surgery center here in Phoenix, and then sold that. But as I was in that practice, that's when we did a pilot study of a stem cell product for back pain. We did it on 12 patients, and they range everywhere from, you know, high-level athletes like yourself to housewives to firefighters. I think there was a pilot. We have a, you know, Luke Air Force Base here. We had a pilot come in. 10 out of 12 did fantastic. The other two didn't get any worse. They just, you know, wasn't a home run. So that's how I got into the sort of regenerative medicine game. And then I was in business school at the time, the executive program here at ASU. And I after that pilot study, they said, okay, now you're in this entrepreneurial class. You need to create a fake company. So I did. I called it the Stem Cell and Laser Company. And I didn't even know if it would be legal to do it. So they ran it through the law school innovation program. So I got like 50 grand worth of legal advice for nothing. And they came back and said, look, this is completely legal. It's just experimental. So that's how, hello.
That's Rocky.
So all my professors were like, yeah, you should make this a real company. You could help people all over the place. And I was like, well, I hadn't truly thought of that yet. But so that's what I did. I went from a fake company to a real company. And now here we are, you know, 14 years later.
Hey, what's going on? This is Vernon Davis. And going online without ExpressVPN is like leaving your laptop unattended at a coffee shop while you run to the bathroom. Most of the time, you're probably just fine. But what if one day you come out of the bathroom and your laptop is gone? Why even take that risk? Just get ExpressVPN and secure your online data. Every time you connect to an unencrypted network in cafes, hotels, airports, etc., your online data is not secure. Any hacker on the same network can gain access to and steal your personal data, like your passwords, bank logins, credit cards. That's why I use it. Can you imagine a hacker getting all my bank info? That would be bad. It doesn't take much technical knowledge to hack someone. Just some cheap hardware is needed. A smart 12-year-old could do it. Your data is valuable. Hackers can make up to $1,000 per person selling personal info on the dark web. ExpressVPN stops hackers from stealing your data by creating a secure, encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet. It works on all devices, phones, laptops, tablets, and more, so you can stay secure on the go. And it's easy to just use. Just fire up the app and click one button to get protected. Secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/nextrow. That's expressvpn.com/nextrow to find out how you can get up to 4 extra months. expressvpn.com/nextrow. Wow. You said a fake company to a real company.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all these professors were like, you should do this. So then I made it a real company. And then I went through something called the SCORE program, where a bunch of millionaires and billionaires sit down with you and poke holes in your business plan. And that helped a lot. And then, as the years have gone on, I think I've changed business models probably 10 times.
Wow. And why and why did you change business models?
Regulatory atmosphere changes for things, as far as how the products need to be made or sold or used on patients. And then every time you go into a new country, you sort of have to pivot a little bit and stay, abide by their regulatory requirements. Like Mexico is different than, South Africa or the Philippines. Got to keep on trucking to stay current with the times.
Okay. Current in time. And tell us, Doc, you said, and why is it important to keep up with the current time? Like, why is that important in business?
When you look at, if you're not growing, you're sort of dying, right, in the world of business. So if I didn't, keep track of what countries are doing with regards to regenerative medicine when it comes to stem cells, exosomes, PRP, that could be a huge mistake. So it's nice to learn from those mistakes that I've made in the past. And before I go into a country, to find out, what is the regulatory environment? Does it even exist? Like in Pakistan, I've had a clinic there for 8 years. They don't have stem cell laws because 2 government agencies keep fighting about who's going to actually implement them. So, things like that puts it into a gray zone, which is not a bad place to be, actually.
No, absolutely. And when you started R3 Stem Cell back in college, did you think it would grow into a global leader in regenerative medicine?
No, in business school, when I actually started the company, I was thinking domestic. When you think about, going global, even going into one other country, it's like, man, they have a different tax system. Is it even legal for me to open a business there? Like some countries, you can't have full ownership, so yeah, I didn't even think about that until at least 5 years in to have an R3.
5 years in. And so what crossed your mind? Like, what was it that inspired you to like say, okay, I want to do this? Like, what was it? Was there any given moment? Was there someone who inspired you or what?
It's a very good question because there's so many companies limit themselves to the States. And we are the biggest economy in the world. So there's nothing, necessarily wrong with that. However, all it would take would be one pivot by the FDA to say, this is no longer allowed, because they can do whatever. And then they're the umbrella, right? Everything has to sort of fall in line. Typically. So my concern was that I didn't know which way a domino was going to go. Thankfully it's continued to go in a positive direction, but I didn't know that. So, 8 years ago, I had a meeting with some folks who are already doing business in Mexico. So I decided, all right, well, let's start there because I can keep close tabs on Mexico. Being in Phoenix, I'm very close to Tijuana on the border. So that's what I did is we started in Tijuana and it started to grow. So then Cancun made sense because it's the east side of Mexico. And then last year I bought a clinic in Puerto Vallarta because it sort of hit that triangle of the country. And that's how it started. And as that was going well, then, others started to opportunities started to come up.
So why wouldn't you keep your business in the United States? Why go to Mexico and places like that?
Well, that was the concern, is that, if the regulatory environment in the United States went south, so to speak, if it became too onerous, to do the kind of business that we wanted to do here, then I needed to be diversified, like any prudent business owner should strive to be. So my goal was to have at least half of our business be international within 3 years of going international. And I achieved that with Mexico and the Philippines and Pakistan. And then India came on a few years ago. And now we're in Turkey and South Africa and soon Dubai. But yeah, within another 3 years, I think 2/3 of our business will be international.
Okay. And you treated over 27,000 patients already. Are
Yes.
there any stories that stick with you or motivate you today when it comes to like your patients?
I mean, there's quite a few, but I'll tell you about one that I just interviewed. I met you, we treated you in Nashville, and I was back in Nashville a week ago, and I got to sit down with a woman who she's 48. She's a nurse practitioner.
Mhm.
She was working at a very high level, in surgery and assisting and whatnot. And she started getting two issues. One was pain in her left eye, which is odd, right? Not both, just one. She started getting a tremor, so she couldn't do suturing. Um, so she went in to see the neurologist and then the ophthalmologist, who said, I think you have multiple sclerosis. And she was like, what? So sure enough, she did. So it started getting much worse. And it not only did it get much worse just from the natural progression of MS, they put her on medications, the FDA approved medications that are like chemotherapy. And it made her life go. I mean, she got this optic neuritis got much worse. She ended up
Mm,
having to get a colectomy, her large intestine removed, because the chemotherapy stopped the functioning of her bowel.
mm,
I mean, it was so many problems. And then she went back to that same physician who said, this was after 2 years of going totally downhill. She got
mm,
psoriasis real bad. She couldn't walk. She was in a wheelchair. And he said, I don't have anything else to offer you except another round of this medication. And Mandy said, and this is all on YouTube, by the way, Mandy said, well, you're telling me that after getting all of these different complications from that medication and the MS, that's the best that modern medicine has to offer.
mm.
And he said, not only that, but if you keep going at this rate, I think you might be dead in 3 months. And she was like, what? So that is when she found us. And that was 16 months ago. So she had stem cell therapy IV, like yourself. She also had it intranasal, and it has totally changed her existence. Psoriasis is gone. The
Yeah.
optic neuritis is gone. Her tremor is gone. Obviously, she can't get her colon back because that had to be removed, but she's out of the wheelchair. She can walk as far as she wants. And 2 months ago, she went back to work. So a story like that, it just reaffirms to me, why we do this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I've always heard about stem cell therapy, but I never really paid it any attention because you get so used to the normal stuff, right? The things that are normalized. And you don't see the stories because I guess it's one of those things. Why isn't stem cell therapy like uh, something that's exploited, throughout the world? Why is that?
It's another very good question. And like a decade ago, I used to have this advisory board. So we went around the table and I said, have you ever heard of stem cell therapy? Have you? I think it was like 6 folks on the board, and only 3 of them had. And out of those 3, 2 of them thought the only thing they could think of was, aborted fetuses back from like the George Bush administration. Um, so it really wasn't people weren't knowledgeable about it. But over the last 5 years, the knowledge that people have, at least in this country and a few others, has really kind of hockey sticked. So our business has gone up. Our competitor numbers have increased. But last week when I'm in South Africa, I think we're the only large clinic has opened there. And there's like 1 or 2 stem cell labs. It's sort of like they're 5 years behind us. And I think part of it is because, yes, there have been some FDA approvals, but they've been for like orphan types of things like graft versus host disease, things that are not mainstream. So, we're just not there yet as far as the regulatory approvals. These treatments are allowed, they're legal. So I think that's part of the issue is that, from a regulatory standpoint, we haven't gotten over that hurdle yet.
Mm-hmm. Hold on. And what exactly is so you're using umbilical cord stem cell, right?
Yeah.
Where does that come from? So explain to everyone what that exactly what that is.
Yeah. So a decade ago, we were using amniotic fluid, which is the fluid that surrounds the fetus, as the fetus grows. Um, but as we move forward in technology, the umbilical cord, which connects the mom to the fetus, and transports the nutrients and to help the fetus grow, we found out that has a ton of stem cells and what's called exosomes, cytokines, growth factors. I mean, it is a virtual orchestra of regenerative ingredients. So that's where, and this was like 7 or 8 years ago, attention focused, to that for the donor stem cells. So um, the good news with those is that you don't have to there's no harm to any baby or the mother, right? We get them from scheduled C-sections with
Mm.
women who know well in advance that they're having this procedure. They can be screened, tested for diseases or whatnot to make sure everything's safe. And then during the procedure, instead of the umbilical cord getting discarded, it actually goes into a sterile container and then gets transported to our lab, which is here in this building in Scottsdale.
Oh wow. Wow. And you turned the umbilical so and that and where so are you putting the is everything being constructed in your lab or does it come from somewhere else and it's transported to your lab?
So we are the lab. So I've taken it as far, upstream as you can, with regards to we get the umbilical cord. Our PhD, who's I hired from the Mayo Clinic, she immediately takes it into our GMP lab. We have two clean rooms, and she will immediately put it into an antibiotic bath for a couple hours, and then rinse
Mhm.
it like crazy. And then we use an FDA cleared kit. It's like a sterile disposable kit to
Mhm.
grind up the umbilical cord, and then filter out the chunks, the particulate matter. And then she
Right.
does a few more steps to eventually get the product into the vial.
Mhm.
And then we do a cryopreservation process. And some of those vials go to a third party that's FDA accredited, and they test for diseases, they test for sterility, they culture it for 2 weeks. So we make sure that everything is, clean, clear before anything gets used on a person.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. What's the most exciting breakthrough that's coming out of your research team right now?
Well, it's actually not in the in the cell field. We're moving forward with some regulatory clinical trials, and that's very exciting. But in our Mexico clinics, our lab there, we actually started making natural killer cells, um, which has been a breakthrough. It's a different type of CAR T cells, which is helping people for different types of cancer. And it's not like chemo where it makes you worn out and tired and all these
Mhm.
complications. Natural killer cell, people come in, they get treatment, but by the end of the week, they feel like 10 million bucks. I mean, they feel
Mhm.
fantastic. So that's actually very exciting come recently to our international clinics.
Oh, wow. Wow, that is very exciting. Your company has been named Global Company of the Year 5 years straight. Like, what goes through your mind when you hear that? And what's separating you from these other companies out there?
So when you look at some of the other companies, they first of all they just have like one location. For instance, Panama,
Mm.
where Mel Gibson took his dad, and then CPI, which is Joe Rogan's clinic. They have one location in Tijuana. When they treat patients, they charge at least double what we do. And the quality of what we're offering is on par or better. There's no difference with quality. But with us, because of the volume, 27,000 in 10 years, we've brought we've reached that, I guess what you would call an economy of scale, where we're able to bring our pricing down. So it's high quality, very high safety because we use the FDA quality standards around the world, and
Mhm.
we're affordable. So folks who have a child with autism or they have an autoimmune disorder and they want to get treatment, it's a lot to ask them to pay 30,000, US dollars, especially for a treatment they'll benefit from multiple times. So if they could come to us for 10,000 US dollars for 100 million stem cells or more, that is what really gets me out of bed, in the morning. We just one of the things, except my kids. But having that kind of a value proposition for patients and their families um, is so exciting because not everybody has the buying power of the United States, right? I mean, in India, the buying power is significantly less than most other countries. So to be able to go to those countries and have it being affordable, but maintaining the high safety and the high quality is
Mhm.
is the most exciting thing about R3. And then I think that's why we've been named the gotten that award so many years in a row.
Yeah, because that's a lot, man. That's a huge testament to you, your operations and what you're giving as far as the product goes. So, you know, uh, kudos to you for that. That's amazing. You
Yeah.
deserve another round of applause, my friend. What is your marketing plan like? How do you ensure that you're getting this information out there and people are able to take advantage of your services and your product?
I was just dealing with that this morning. We have about 150 employees now, and there's probably like 30 on the marketing team. But as you know, marketing is getting more and more complicated every year. You know, you can find brands on postage stamps or on parking spots. And even when I go to, professional sporting event, you go into the bathroom and there's ads in the urinals and, so many opportunities. The question is, where do you deploy the marketing dollars to
Mhm.
get the awareness. So one of the most interesting things that we've done over the last decade is video education. So we recently surpassed 1,000 educational videos, and I'll give you the classic example. I go to Mexico every month, to visit our clinics and the lab and talk to our science team. And I get out of the San Diego airport, I get into our Mercedes SUV, and invariably, there's patients going with us too. And every time they say, "Oh, Dr. Greene, we feel like we know you. We watched your videos. Thank you for answering all those questions." Um, because a lot of these entities that are out there, you call them and they don't have time or they won't take the time to answer the questions from the patients.
Mhm.
But I've been doing this for a decade. So that's been actually where marketing, I think, is very exciting, is educating patients around the world and then seeing them, come through our pipeline, to become patients. And now we're starting to deal with, AI initiatives and things to get more in front of people who need help from us, because it can take a while. It's a complicated, technology, right? There's all kinds of questions people have, and we want to be the answer for them, and then be the answer for their solution to the treatment.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Do you think this is something that'll be covered under insurance at some point in time?
At some point, yes. There's various factors that go into that. One is to, actually get the FDA approvals.
Mhm.
And I didn't realize just how people thought of the FDA outside the United States until you start spending time. They look at the FDA as the gold standard around the world, which,
Mhm.
a lot of people in the States, they don't trust the FDA, but, you know, that's the main thing outside. But when it comes to being covered by insurance, it will happen. It's just taking a lot longer than any of us expected. But first of all, you have to get the uh, regulatory approvals for those conditions, and then that doesn't mean the insurance company is going to cover it. Sometimes it takes another year or two for insurance companies to jump on that bandwagon. So those two don't always go hand in hand.
Mhm. No, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting. I can't wait till that happens. I'm pretty sure when that does happen, you'll have be more people, being
Oh,
able
absolutely.
to take advantage of it for sure.
But, when you get something approved, it has one indication, right? Whatever the study was done
Mhm.
for. But then
Okay.
physicians are using it for a lot of other things. And then, it starts getting approved for those things too. Um,
Mm.
I'll give you one example. Remember, I don't know if you ever heard of Neurontin. It's a called gabapentin, but a lot of people who have nerve pain in their legs from neuropathy, they use it for that. But that's not what it
Mhm.
was approved for by the FDA. It was approved for seizures. So those types of things happen as the years. So even that will start the domino effect as well.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
hoping next few years that'll take place.
Yeah, me too, man. I hope so. Also, then I can take advantage of it even more.
Yeah,
I'll
exactly.
use my wallet, man. I'll take my credit card out my wallet.
How are you doing, by the way, for since your treatment?
I mean, I can't even I can't even explain the way I feel right now. Like I feel like someone has to try it. Like I've walked around for maybe the last 2 years. I get up, takes me a little bit of time to get going. And sometimes I'm kind of naive and I'm playing it off. I'm like, this is just me. I'm just, it's just normal. But it wasn't normal. Had arthritis in my lower back and it sucked. Yeah, I would try to go in. You know how you do the yoga poses when you lay on your stomach and you push up?
Yeah,
I would do that. I would stretch my quads, my glutes, and make sure my IT band piriformance muscles are stretched. It helps a little bit, but it comes right back. The problem was me getting up in the morning and get going, right? Getting 30 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes to get moving. But now, dude, I get up, I'm up, I'm
nice.
ready to go. It's amazing. Sometimes I'm standing there and I'm walking and I'm just doing this to my back. I'm making sure it's still seeing if it's coming back, if it's still there. But nothing's there. It's like
That's
it's like
awesome.
the it's like the most amazing thing, man. I'm like, wow, this is crazy.
So, that night after the treatment, I went and watched The Catch 3, which,
Yeah.
I must have watched that 100 times. But then I went on and I wanted to buy some images of you to use in our videos. There was a picture, I don't know how high, if you ever looked at how high off the ground you could jump, but it was so, I'm like, "Oh my god, I could have probably had 2 of me, on my head, with you were so high." But, I just started thinking about the hits you must have taken over the
Yeah.
years, to lead to back pain. And so many athletes, whether they're recreational or elite like yourself, end up with that. And you just have to, unless you have an answer like what you got with us, they don't have, they have opiates, they have
Mhm.
cortisone, things that they're just suppressing the symptoms. They're not actually addressing the problem. So I'm so thankful that you got the same result that 90% of our patients do for back pain. Um, and that you don't have to think about it. So it's just another thing off the plate, right? You can get more clear with when you wake up in the
It's like a miracle, man. I mean, I promise you, it's like a miracle. I'm not even joking.
that's
I
great.
it's unbelievable to me, really, because I've dealt with it for the last 2 years,
Yeah.
and it's just unbelievable. But if you think about it, the wear and tear of getting up, bending down, getting up, bending down, it's inevitable. It's going to happen at some point in time. So to be expected. But I just kept putting it off and just like it's pretty normal. But it's great. It's great. Back to you. You're a surgeon. You're a CEO, PhD, and MBA. That's quite the list, my man. That's quite the list. Which of those roles have been the most challenging for you?
Well, I don't do surgery anymore, so I can't really say that that's challenging to me anymore. So we'll kind of strike that off the list. The most challenging is dealing with people, with employees and I'm not saying that it's necessarily dealing with them as a problem. Also, when you have over 100 employees, people get sick, and you're the support for their family, at least financially. So it really is harsh to see that. We've had employees who've had strokes, cancer. Um, that is uh, devastating, obviously for them, but for us too, because we're like family. We um, have really some of these folks have been with me for 8, 9, 10 years because I've really, really tried to make it a fun, rewarding place to work. So
Yeah.
we have a very high, retention rate, so to speak, and so that's been challenging. But the other side too is when somebody just isn't, they don't understand the mission, they don't, take the work seriously. Um, that's sometimes tough to deal with.
Yeah.
So now we have an HR department and those types of, and I was warned, years ago from my brother who Harvard Business School. I said, "What do you find is the most difficult part about business?" And he said, "It's, business organizational behavior, just dealing with people." It's the uncontrolled variable, right?
Yeah, dealing with people. It always goes back to people, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Yeah.
It always goes back to people. But no, I like that. Doc, let me remind everyone real quick. Hey, you guys, let me go back. Hey, Doc, let me remind everyone real quick. You can get this interview and every interview that I've done sent to your phone automatically as soon as it's ready. All you have to do is hit that follow button on Apple and Spotify. And if you're on YouTube, follow us. Doc, you once joked, you said, what's free time? If you had an unexpected day off, what would we find you doing?
Yeah. Free time is becoming more and more scarce as the years go by. It depends. If I had a day off and my kids weren't in school, I'd like to hang out with them. They're at such a moldable age, 9 and 12. I mean, the older kids are 23, 25, but the younger ones, it's so much fun, to hang out with them. And my wife too. She's great. So I would hang out with them. I might try and play a round of golf. I usually get my money's worth. There's a lot of strokes that, a lot of divots that happen. Probably, hit the gym, maybe get a massage at the club. So just kind of do a relaxing day like that.
No, that's amazing. That's cool. That's cool. And are you pretty consistent at that, or is that something you just do every now? How consistent are you? Is that something you do every month, or how
Yeah,
often
yeah.
are you having?
I go to the gym, a few days a week. I try when on the weekends that I'm here, what I'll do is my wife and I'll sort of split up. Like we'll have a daddy daughter half a day, or she'll hang out with Ari. We go to his basketball games, go
Mm.
to her dance activities, because that's what they really care about. So it's all about family. I don't, because if you go on the golf course, I'll go hit the range, but playing golf is like 4 or 5 hours. It's
Yeah.
I have that Jewish guilt.
It's okay to have guilt. You
Yeah.
you have kids. You have how many kids do you have? 4?
We have 4 kids.
You have
Yeah.
4 kids. I have 3 kids. My kids, I can never really understand how they view me. Like, I played football for so many years now. I'm acting, I'm doing all these other things. I don't know what they look at me, how they look at me. Do you have a hard time figuring that out with your kids? Do they see you as a dad? Do they see you as a scientist? Well, how do they view you?
I think the younger kids just see me as dad. They don't really know a lot about the science aspect. They just started asking, like, "What do you guys do? What's R3?" They're really just sort of starting. I mean, they'll come into the office, but there's a reason I have an Xbox in my office is because my son wants to go right to that. People are like, "Oh, you play an Xbox all the time?" And I'm like, "No, that's for my kids." But the younger ones are just starting to ask. Now, the older ones, one of them works for us. She went and got her MBA, and she's absolutely amazing. The other one works for Charles Schwab, but they know, very well. But I don't ask them. I don't know if you do. Do you ask your kids, well, what do you think about the old man? um,
No, I never really asked that question. I just assume, I don't know, they just walk around like it's like nothing's really exciting to them. I
yeah.
guess 'cause they see me on TV for so long. It's like, oh, that's just daddy. Like if a movie comes out, they're like, that's just daddy. He's just doing his normal stuff. Daddy's just cool.
So
Yes.
I got to tell you a funny story. I don't know if you were about to say something, but when you and I had dinner, I said, I watched one of your movies last night. It was the one with one of them with Morgan Freeman. Um, you were the ritual killer, and you were really good at not getting caught. You were running away from multiple detectives, and I've never seen a guy who's 6'3", 250 pounds, jump up a wall, do a flip, scale down, and then you were like, "Whoa, we don't do that." That's a stunt double.
Yeah. That wasn't me, Doc. I don't know what that part of the film when he was climbing fences and jumping down, that wasn't me. That wasn't me.
I
I
was like, "What?"
told you I had arthritis in my lower back. I think I could
You could
pull
do
that
it
off.
now. Yeah, now you could
We
do it.
could probably do it now. Yeah, we go back and remake that film. I could do all of that stuff. I can.
That's what I wanna hear moving forward is that you're Tom Cruise in that stuff. You're doing it all yourself, hanging onto the plane with one hand.
Yeah, I can do that. I'm ready. I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready. But the great thing is I get an opportunity to try it again all over, with with the amount of stuff that I'm doing and the chances that I'm having to create in the creative space is just super cool. Um, and I'm excited about it. What excites you about the future, Doc? I know you have to be excited about your future.
Yeah, I
What
mean,
medicine? What excites you about that?
well, I feel like the window of opportunity is opening for regenerative medicine.
Mhm,
It's been a very safe treatment. It's been very, very effective for so many conditions. And my goal is to become the Marriott of stem cell therapy around the world. I don't think patients should have to fly halfway around the world to get the treatment that they need and desire. So I want to, continue to structurally expand or in a controlled manner, to make sure that we keep our quality high, safety, all of those things. But that, right now we're in 8 countries. By the end of a few years, maybe 3 years from now, I'd like to be in about 15. South America and other places that have a huge population that has the need. That's one of the things that really excites me the most is that the opportunities. You can't dance at every wedding, right? But you can dance at several a year.
mhm. That's right. That's right. You know what? You're Jewish, Doc. I love going to Jewish weddings. I just went to one a week ago. Oh my goodness, man. Like when you guys, when they put y'all in the chair and y'all just go up in the air and they lift you up. Man, that's an exciting event, I tell you.
It's a good time. Yeah, it's a
Super
really
exciting.
good time.
Yeah, I have to marry me a Jewish woman. If I marry a a woman, do I get to go up in the chair?
Yeah,
They lift.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, and if one of your kids marries, that was funny, Charles Barkley lives here in town, and his daughter married a Jewish, man, and, he got up in the chair. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it took a lot of people to lift him up in the chair, but like it would you, yeah, he's a big guy, so
He's a big man. He's much bigger than me. He's much bigger than me. He needed a lot of stem cell therapy, I'm sure.
I know, he probably needed a dozen people having an arm on the chair lifting him up.
Ex exactly, exactly. Hey, Doc, what frustrates you about stem cell the world of stem cell therapy? Is there anything that frustrates you about it? Like maybe any
Um
myths or, maybe
Well,
something
there's a
someone's.
lot of competitors who disseminate just misinformation. I was dealing with this yesterday with a clinic out of Kansas. Because some people just do the one from yourself, either from the fat tissue or from your bone marrow. And some of these clinics they get very competitive and they come out with information that's just not true about the donor stem cells like we use from umbilical cord. So that's very frustrating because not only do patients call, they say, "Well, I heard this, this, and this." So now you have to uneducate them and re-educate them about what's actually true. So that's frustrating. Is some people don't feel the need to just like what we do, positively promote, and educate, as opposed to trying to tackle, the
Mhm,
competitor mudslinging and misinformation. Um,
mhm.
yeah, and that's
Yeah,
a
no, no, I get it.
I'll tell you
I
one
get
thing
it.
that happened in Pakistan, which was it's so common around the world. We became the number one provider of stem cell therapy in Pakistan, which
Yeah.
is not easy because the buying power in Pakistan is so I had to open a lab there. So all these competitors they get jealous, so they start filing complaints with
Mhm,
whatever the Department of Health is called there
mhm.
about like fake patients or just making stuff up. That's frustrating.
Yeah. No, that sucks. You have to deal with that. But like you said, it goes back to people. It always goes back to people. You gotta
That's
deal with
right. Exactly.
when you're in space, you have to deal with that kind of stuff with is very with is which is very unfortunate, but, life goes on. Is there an ultimate legacy you'd like to leave through R3 stem cell?
Well, like yourself, for different reasons. I pivoted during my life, and my dad did the same thing. He used to own department stores, and the day of the independent department store is gone. Walmart came into our town, and so he ended up moving into manufacturing and did very, very well. With myself, I went from being in practice to now having this global brand. That's one thing I want my kids to see is that, it's not a matter of if you get knocked down, but what you do about it, right? So that's one thing. But when you look at the what R3 has or is becoming, um, I would just like to be seen as someone who moved the field forward significantly to help a lot of people in a manner that is affordable. Um, last year I had a guy, he said, I watched your videos. I got treatment and I really love what you're doing. You're the working man's stem cell clinic. I love that.
Working man stem cell clinic. Why did he say that?
Just because, when he was a truck driver, and when people look at the cost of stem cell treatment at, some of the Colombia, Panama, uh, CPI brands like that, it's 25, 30,000. Whereas he was able to get his knees done, I think his shoulder for about 5. So it was attainable, and that's why he said that.
I learned something in life. Just because it's inexpensive doesn't mean it's the right thing.
Right. I do videos about that.
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, just because it's cheap doesn't mean it's a good option for you. So I call
Exactly.
it affordable. There's a difference between affordable and cheap, right? So it's a good point.
No, you're right. Doc, and I know we're running out of time here, but I'm gonna ask you a few more questions. Well, who's your favorite team?
In which league or and just overall?
Let's say football. Who's your favorite?
Football?
Yeah.
Um, I've been in the Valley here for 28 years. And for most of those years, I was a Chargers fan until they moved to LA. So now I'm a Cardinals fan. Fine.
Them birds. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
we used to have some tough game matches against them.
Yeah. We just had one last week against your old team, the 49ers.
Is it because you live in Arizona? That's why you like the Cardinals?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's
Okay,
right
that makes sense.
here on the, sports radio. That's who they're talking about. So
So
yeah.
basketball could be different. So what about basketball?
Well,
What's
I
your
have
favorite
season tickets to the Suns, so I've
Okay.
gone through the trials and tribulations. And I do it because it's about my son. My son is 12. He loves basketball. He lives and breathes it. So it's time that we spend together without the video games, without the phone calls with his friends. It's just me and him. We have great seats, and that's why I really.
No, that's amazing. Did you play sports growing up?
I did. Yeah. I played, I did some wrestling.
Okay.
I did football till 8th grade, till I stopped growing and everybody else. Same thing with basketball. But my sport in high school was baseball.
If you could play football right now, what position and what team would you play for?
Well, I'm only 5'4", so I'm a foot shorter than you. So I would definitely be a kicker.
Think so? Come on, man.
Although, you look at Dave Meggett, he was pretty sweet. He's about my height. But yeah, so I guess I could be a Frank Gore type running back, but no, I don't have a very high pain tolerance. I think I'd be a kicker.
A kick. Okay. I actually just got off the phone with Frank Gore.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I just talked to him. I told him I got to get him on my podcast.
Oh yeah, that guy's awesome.
Oh,
Iron Man.
he's amazing. He's actually working with the team right now. He's doing, he's kind of doing like some GM / like scouting work for them.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he's one guy who loves football, man. He loves, breathes it. He has a pretty cool gig. He just show up on game day, whether it's home or away, do his thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. Doc, I appreciate you for coming, dropping through on Next Roll. We loved having you. I mean, this is very informative for a lot of people. Just, what you do, how you're helping so many different people in the world, the light that you're shining. And I highly recommend and encourage people to learn more about the world of stem cell therapy because, I can attest to it. It's helped me out tremendously. And I thank you. I thank you for what you do. You're amazing. And for the listeners here, if you like what you're listening to, please be sure to let me know. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Vernon Davis 85. Till then, stay tuned. Doc, thank you again. Let me give you another round of applause, man, because you're amazing. Let me give you a round of applause.
Thank you so much. The admiration is mutual. I'm a big fan, always have been, and meeting you in person was an honor.
Oh, thank you, Doc. I appreciate it. Have a great day, my man.
Thanks.
Next roll, everybody.
Welcome to the next row.